We have a very exciting special guest for us today. Let's roll the video. Donn Davis here joining us live on the Power Hour. Beautiful background you have. I might add. I would like to look at that forest. Got a very industrial look here. Yes. But guys, if you don't know Donn, he's the founder of Pro Fighting League. We're going to be talking gambling. We're going to be talking some investment strategy. But Donn, thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be here, guys. Thanks.
Absolutely. And so for those of us, or for those out there who aren't familiar with PFL, can you just take us through the company and then also, what was your motivation to start it?
Absolutely. Look, I started the Professional Fighters League the day that UFC sold because I saw a sport that should be in MMA. We all watch football. We all watch basketball. We all watch football. What does that mean? Regular season, playoff, and championship. Win in advance, transparency, lose and go home. But that's not MMA. MMA is a promoter. In that case, Dana White chooses who's number one and number two and sets people up. That's great entertainment. That's great in the boxing world.
Yep. Oh, Donn, I lost you. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. You're back.
What if in basketball this year, the Utah Jazz, which is great, Adam Silver said, you know what? You don't have enough social media following. You're not that interesting. You're on the West Coast. You're not going to make the playoffs and you're not going to make the championship this year. Well, that's not what sport is. The PFL brings the meritocracy and the sports season format, win in advance. So that's what we do. We start with the fighters and the fighters win and they advance. You win 4 times, you're the champion. It's March Madness meets MMA. And April 23rd, we start our 3rd season on ESPN and in 160 countries around the world to see who the best fighter is, period.
Okay. I love it. And then in terms of how the business model actually works, I imagine that that's also different than UFC.
Very similar to the NBA.
Okay.
The PFL is a league. So we have media rights paid by ESPN, media rights paid by 30 media companies around the world in 160 countries. We have sponsors and advertisers like IBM, Geico, Anheuser-Busch. We also have gambling companies that pay us for our data feed. So it's very similar to owning the NBA. We don't have teams. We're just a centrally controlled league.
Awesome. And you touched on something that's been really hot in the investment world recently. And I heard you talking about this in some other interviews you've done, but tell us about the gambling angle, how users can engage with the competitions as they're going on, et cetera.
Yeah, look, starting April 23rd, fans will be able to do something with the PFL that you normally can't do. Real-time prop bets. So what will be the hardest punch in this round? What will be the top leg kick in this round? Will this round end in under 1 minute on a takedown? So you'll be able to not only bet winners and losers, but real-time changing prop bets on your mobile phone. Why we're able to do that is we work really closely with the fighters. There's not an onerous union. We also do our own television production. So as soon as we're able to innovate, we can do it quickly. So you'll have the most innovative, most exciting prop bets starting April 23rd, real time on PFL.
Okay, wait. So let me ask you this: what's the most unique prop bet that you're expecting to be available, and what's the one that you're most excited about?
If we gave away all the mystery, no tuning in on April 23rd. But look, suffice it to say that PFL has always been the most innovative. We have the PFL Smart Cage. So we have chips in the glove, which measures everything from heart rate to distance traveled to top punch. Throughout the year, every single fight will be adding new prop bets. So as it becomes interesting to wager on, you'll get it.
Okay, that's awesome. And like I heard before, like top heart rate is something that you'll be able to place a bet on and that sort of thing.
Yeah, look, we're even introducing this year something called the damage meter. Damage inflicted, damage absorbed. Think of it as a gamification. I think by the end of this year, that's something you'll be able to bet on. You'll be able to see it visually on the screen.
Okay, yeah, that's exciting. And then how do users do it? You said a mobile phone app. I'm imagining it's an app that you guys have that users will download, or how exactly does that work?
We'll be announcing in 2 weeks all of our betting partners in the United States and internationally, and we'll be able to tell you more about that then. But everything will start April 23rd, and we have our partners in place, and we'll be announcing it with them shortly.
All right, that's exciting. See, I'm here in Detroit, Michigan, where you recently just signed a star out of Michigan. But I'm here in Detroit, Michigan. We recently just got sports betting. And it was the first time I'd ever like placed prop bets was on the Super Bowl. And I will say it definitely made for a more engaging game for me.
I went to law school at University of Michigan. I'm a big alum with you guys. So
go Blue. All right. So U of M representing.
Yeah, absolutely representing. So look, gaming is just in the first or second inning because a lot of people don't really understand how exciting it makes, every pitch or every round of a fight. And it's not just diehards. It's going to be for everybody. And it's not just big money. It's $5 or $1. It's very social with your friends. And PFL has always been the most innovative in combat sports, whether it's MMA or boxing. We're the first to bring the ref cam where you see a knockout. This year, we're the first to bring the walkout cam where you follow the fighter and hear what he has to do to win this fight. So yes, gambling is a big innovation, but there'll be a ton of innovations to take you inside the cage and give you access, which is what all of us as true sports fans love and want.
Absolutely. And I got to go back when you brought up the University of Michigan Law School. If you guys are ever visiting Ann Arbor, Michigan, that's where University of Michigan is, go check out that law campus. It's the most beautiful place I've ever seen. When I was an undergrad there, I studied there almost exclusively. I mean, it looks like Hogwarts, basically.
It's a great place to be as long as you're not doing law school.
There you go. See, you just got to do the undergrad route and just go in their buildings. That's what I did. But all right, Donn. So you're an early investor in AOL, DraftKings, BigCommerce, and others. Obviously, some very successful investments. I'm curious. Share with us some of your principles that you use. What guides you when you're looking to make an investment, etc.
Yeah, look. All together with partners, we're the first to buy an esports team. Also, we bought Team Liquid 4 years ago before esports were hot. We were the early investors in Sport Radar, which is all in the news now when it was only 500 million valuation. Look, you always look for really three things. Huge market. It's been underserved and it's had no innovation. You always have to have a great product and a great management team, but is it a huge market that's been really underserved and no innovation? And candidly, that's what's always driven my career. And even though I was a huge sports fan, really a baseball and football fan, not a big MMA fan, although I am now, that's what drove me to start the Professional Fighters League the day that UFC was sold. Because you know what you see? 550 million fans. I had no idea. That's the third biggest fan base after only soccer and basketball in the world. I had no idea. I thought it was smaller than that. Number two, how underserved is this? UFC gives that 550 million fans 40 events a year. There's 6,000 basketball games. There's 2,200 soccer matches. But 40 MMA events? And number three, no innovation. They've been holding a single camera. They haven't been innovating at all. It still looks like boxing in the 1950s. So we really serve this 18 to 35-year-old fan with the next generation product and the sports season format. So to me, whether it's when I went to AOL, in the late 90s or did esports 40 years ago, it's big market, underserved. How do you have an innovative, disruptive product?
Okay, I love it. So the three principles: huge market, not being served enough. I love like that 5.5 million or the fan number compared to the 40 events versus the 6,000 for basketball, and then just no innovation in it. And so you just mentioned you weren't an MMA fan before you got this going. So I want to dig into that founder story a little bit. Like, okay, you decide that this is something that looks compelling. How do you go about actually executing it and making that first step to build a big business?
Yeah, look, I've either been an investor or an entrepreneur, both sides of that fence, in dozens of companies. The advantage of being 58 is you've seen a lot of models and a lot of different products. What works, what doesn't. And you borrow from each. And you be very aggressive building that company. But first of all, you focus on the fan or the consumer. So I said, if I were an MMA fan, what would I want? What would be the most exciting product? And that's what we've given them. So every innovation's been driven toward the MMA fan. So I said I would want to know how I become champion, and I would want to see true transparency. I wouldn't want somebody to game the system. And then I said I'd want a super cool product. I'd want to see the hardest punch on the screen. I'd want to see camera angles from the refs and the corner angles. So we start fan first, consumer first, and that's driven everything we've done from the very beginning. And that's given us the explosive growth to be the #2 MMA company in only 3 years.
Yeah, so super impressive. And then I'm curious too. Is it a similar story like that you tell to the audience that you also tell to the fighters? Like, hey, here's why you should come with us versus going to some other organization.
Well, fighters are just like any other top athlete, whether it's basketball, football, or MMA. They really want 3 things, and we listen to them. 1, they want to make the most money. 2, they want to compete on the biggest stage. And 3, they want to control their own destiny. Well, that's what we give them in the PFL. We give them the opportunity to make as much or more than at the UFC. Number 2, PFL is on ESPN primetime and with the #1 or #2 media outlet in 160 countries. So same as UFC. And the most important is number 3. You know how you become champion. It's called win 4 times in a row, raise belt, get $1 million check. In the UFC, you don't know how to become champion. There's politics, there's social media, there's jockeying. There's a lot. It's a circuitous path. And if you're a athlete, whether you're LeBron James or an MMA fighter, how do I control my destiny to become champion? And that's how we recruited Kayla Harrison. She's a 2-time judo gold medal winner, and she's probably the #2 MMA fighter in the world right now, trailing only Amanda Nunes. We said, Kayla, control your destiny. Donn Davis doesn't decide anything other than signing you. After I sign you, the world is yours. Everything that you can do, I'm going to facilitate for you. That's our pitch to fighters. Control your destiny. Help us enable how great you can be and how much money you can make, period.
Okay, I love it. And then, from the audience standpoint, you said April 23rd. That's when we're going live, right? We'll be able to do the prop betting for it. And you hinted there's going to be announcements coming out before then, or is April 23rd the date that we're going to get everything?
No, you'll hear all about the prop bets in early April from us, and all about our partners in early April.
Okay. All right. There it is. And then I loved the investing advice. I love how you talk about getting the business started, recruiting the athletes. Any final words of wisdom you can leave us with?
No, look, depending on what the audience is, always look for a big market. There's a lot of big markets out there, and always look for growth and always look for innovation. And there's plenty of it, whether you're 70 or 7 or 17, right? Whatever you're doing in life, whether it's your career or your investing life, big market, innovation, and growth, and you can't go too wrong.
Okay, I love it. All right, guys, there it is. Donn Davis here with us, joining the Power Hour, taking a little bit of a different angle. Right? Donn, we always talk stocks and what are the swing trades and that sort of thing. And when we saw your story, I thought it was super compelling, super interesting, the innovation you're bringing to the market. So we're really glad you could join us here today.
Hey, thanks very much, and appreciate. Great show. April 23rd, ESPN. See a innovative MMA product, PFL.
All right, guys, April 23rd. I'll be checking it out, and don't worry, I will remind you. I'll put a note down on the 22nd to remind you guys it's the next day.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Donn.